Old Greg asked Gribbs, using the hashtag AskGribbs hashtag, why do teeth have nerves? Old Greg, there's a simple answer. Because God loves dentists and wants them to be happy. Welcome back to another Sunday Antisocial Hour here on the Gribbly's Folly channel. As you see, I am empty-handed. I am not smoking a pipe. I am not drinking coffee. I do have a bottle of water over here. I might as well be eating some raw broccoli and carrot sticks. And I am in this lowly state with no pipe and no coffee because I had a tooth extracted this week, as you have probably seen in my last video complaining about it. And that is why old Greg, using the hashtag AskGribbs, which you can also use if you have any burning questions to which you would like an answer. That is why he asked me, why do teeth have NERBS? NERBS. It's because teeth... NERBS. Because teeth are living tissue. This is according to my reading. Teeth are living tissue and they must stay in your mouth for your entire life, so they have to grow with you. And that's why they have nerves. It's pretty sad. Okay, welcome back to another edition. This is the time each week when I smoke my pipe. This is the time each week when I wish I could smoke my pipe and I complain about humanity while answering its questions. And humanity had a lot of interesting questions this week. There's a couple of things we need to get to. I talked about in my last Sunday Antisocial Hour, I talked about having to get back on my OCD medication because my OCD is going strong right now. So things have been a little tense between that and the tooth. But that actually generated some questions from some folks, and I said last week that I don't want to be the YouTube poster boy for OCD, but that I do feel like there's important things to say anytime it comes up because there's such a misunderstanding of it in pop culture. So I won't say who used the hashtag AskGribbs to ask these questions, but I will read the questions. Pretty sure the first one was a joke. Hashtag AskGribbs. Do you have OCD if you can't sleep at night and sit up counting the flakes or strands of tobacco in your can of tobacco? How about if you line up the strips of tobacco in a row? No, I don't think that by itself means you have OCD. I'm assuming this is a joke. But if you're not having fun doing that, that's OCD, right? Like if you just enjoy organizing things, great. You're an organizer. That's one of the biggest misconceptions. If you just like being neat, good God, that's a huge bug. What the hell? Hang on. Look at it. Look at it. It's got like a million legs. I don't know what to do about this, y'all. I mean, it's not a spider, so I can handle it. I think we're just gonna let it stay over there. I don't know. Yeah, so, OCD. Good Lord. How did it get away? I didn't fully commit. That's the problem with liquid wrench, right? Like, because it sticks and it keeps burning. So I didn't want to spray it into the outlet box. So I didn't like fully spray it and the bug got away. So now I'm worried. I have to put some, like, stuff my pants into my shoes or something. Like if I'm talking to you guys and that thing crawls up my leg, yeah, that thing is a NERB. That's what that is. Okay, back to the matter at hand. You can be as organized as you would like if you enjoy being organized and not have OCD. The problem is when the organization produces anxiety. Like that you're worried that if your tobacco isn't organized, something bad will happen. That's OCD. So I got some questions from people asking whether or not that I think that they have OCD. And the next one says, I seem to worry about things that don't matter but cannot let it go. Yes. Yes, I mean, I don't know if you have OCD, but that is a trait of OCD. That everyone thinks that OCD is the outward compulsions, the hand washing, the door lock checking, that sort of thing. And it is. That is the way OCD presents in a lot of people. But the type of OCD that I have is pure OCD, meaning it never gets out of my head. The compulsions and the obsessions are all right here, and it presents as mental anguish. But excessive rumination, mentation about things that don't really matter. And, well, I wouldn't say things that don't matter as much as I would say things that I can't answer. But a lot of people, it's things that don't matter. And a big sign of like, a big sign of is it an OCD loop that you're caught in is realizing like, this is ridiculous that I'm worrying about this. Like, this is stupid. But still not being able to get out of the loop. That's OCD. Ask Gribbs, in your opinion, what are the top 3 indications of OCD? When you are lost in thought, but not in a fun way. If you realize you have spent a significant amount of time, an hour, an afternoon, a day, a week, preoccupied with this one thing that you can't seem to let go. If you are lost in thought, that's a pretty good sign. If you have something in your life that you dread thinking about, or that when it does come up, you feel compelled to sit down and think about. So if you're like, oh, I don't want to hang out with Joe Bob tonight because Joe Bob always brings up that thing, and I'll know I'll spend the rest of the night worrying about it. That's a good sign that you've got OCD, that you've got some sort of excessive fixation on something. So the thing is that OCD, as my understanding of OCD is that it is a disorder that arises from a couple of things. One is the part of your brain that shifts between thoughts gets stuck. And it gets stuck on the thoughts that scare you the most. So it is a reaction of the flight or fight response to thoughts that it's basically deer in the headlights syndrome. Like if a bear charges out of the woods and you like focus on the bear and freeze, the bear's just going to eat you. The same thing happens with your thoughts. Everybody has intrusive thoughts and thoughts that don't make any sense and thoughts that disturb us. But most people can just move on. People with OCD, we have a thought that disturbs us and we can't. We get the deer in the headlights and then the thought eats us. So if you have a thought, an intrusive thought or any thought, and your reaction is, man, I really better sit down and think about this. That's probably OCD. Of course, like if you like have a big decision in life to make or something, yeah, you need to sit down and think about that. But like if you're just going about your day and you have a weird thought and you're like, oh, I've got to stop what I'm doing and sit down and work this out of my head, that's OCD. Finally, the third thing I would say is that no amount of solutions will solve the problem. No matter how long you sit there and no matter like how solid your reasoning is against the thought or with the thought or whatever, it doesn't make you feel any better. It doesn't make you feel satisfied. Like, oh, I figured that out. And this is why for me, the existential stuff is so hard because no one can figure it out. They're unanswerable questions and it drives me insane that I can't answer them. And so the person that asked this said he stays up late at night thinking about the nature of consciousness. Been there. And yeah, there is no solution to that. So the fact that you still worry about it, pretty good indication you might have some issues there. OCD is pathological doubt. It is doubt like I checked the stove, I know it's turned off, but I better check again. It's that kind of thing. Your OCD can argue that the sky is not blue. Well, yeah, it looks blue. Oh, just because it looks blue, that means it's blue? Well, yeah, that is the definition of something being blue. Really? So things always, they always are as they seem, huh? Okay. Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the sky is blue. I mean, it's a basic fact. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, what about at night? It's not blue at night. So if you are concerned that you have OCD, the thing to do is to go to a therapist. But the problem is that therapists are about 50-50 on competence for treating OCD. OCD was lumped in with anxiety disorders for most of psychology's history, and it was very poorly understood. Hang on. Okay. Just make sure the NERB wasn't going to come get me. It was very poorly understood. Since the 90s, there has been sort of a paradigm shift about OCD. So you have to find a therapist that is hip to the latest, which is that OCD is best treated with cognitive behavioral therapy, and that OCD is not a psychological problem. It's a neurological problem. It's not your parents didn't love you. It's not, that something bad happened to you as a kid. It's that your brain misfires. That's it. Last OCD question, do inoculations cause OCD? Prove it. How many shots did you have as a kid? I rest my case. Which came first, Pop-Tarts or OCD? Definitely OCD. Inoculations, as far as I'm aware, there is no evidence that inoculations cause OCD. However, in children that are genetically predisposed, OCD is hereditary. If you are genetically predisposed, there is some thought that really bad infections can trigger OCD, specifically streptococcus infections, strep throat. And so there was the thought that so tonsillitis, strep throat might trigger OCD, but now the latest thought on that is that it might be the antibiotics that you get for the strep throat, which saves your life, but then really messes up your gut bacteria. And there's new research with the gut bacteria brain connection that shows that people with OCD have less diverse gut bacteria than normal people. And so they're wondering if there might be some kind of connection there. You have an infection, you take high-powered antibiotics that kill the gut bacteria, you get OCD. Jake Nelson says, as far as your brain overheating, at least your hairstyle makes it more difficult. Moving on, shall we? Dale Piper says, wow, that was nerve-wracking, talking about the bear video, Hitchcock-esque. I'm hoping he's joking because I wasn't... There's no bear... Okay, there's a little bit of danger. There's a little bit of danger, but really bears are not that. I mean, I play up the bear thing because it's the only predator that we have in the woods, but I'm not really that concerned about bears. I only brought 4 flashlights. That made me laugh. Tacos and French fries. Yes. So at any given time, I have, if I've got my camo bag on my adventure pack, I have my primary flashlight on my keychain. I have a secondary flashlight in the bag. I then have a tertiary flashlight in the waterproof compartment of the bag, and then I have my phone, which has a light on it. And on that trip, I actually had 5 flashlights because I had a second phone. So on to the extraction. Thank you all for your sympathies. Fireplug says, Tom Hanks extracted a tooth in a cave with an ice skate. Yeah. About that, I was unbelievably grateful to be living in 2018 with modern dentistry. I can't imagine having what I had done in a time without very effective anesthesia. And on that note, Norbo says, the dentist was right, talking about the dentist in my youth that told me I would die of an infection if I didn't get my wisdom tooth taken out. Well, and so Norbo says, historically, most people died of tooth issues, and he's talking about the first 197,000 years of Homo sapiens sapiens. I want some evidence on that one, Norbo. I'm going to call you out. I think, not saber-toothed tigers, well, I guess that would be a tooth issue. I guess you're right. But, of all the things people could die of, I understand that you can die of any infection left untreated. But really? And that would actually make sense because what I went through the other day with that anesthesia, I would certainly want to die. Like that would have been, yeah, that would have been, especially if you're like a caveman and using like a bone instead of the tool that they called the elevator. But yeah, I would love to see some stats on that. And that doesn't preclude the dentist that told me that being a real son of a bitch, because it took 8 years for me to ever do anything about that tooth, and I didn't die. Unless I did die. And this is some kind of weird afterlife that I'm stuck. Oh, there's the OCD. Speaking of unanswerable questions, Typing Piper asks Gribbs, if you have never smelled Derek Tant's beard, does it still have a smell? It's like the Zen cone of the YTPC. Typing Piper also asks, if you had to... Wait a minute, let's back up. I think if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, it does not make a sound. Right? Because a sound is something that we hear. Right? If a tree falls in the woods, it's going to make a vibration. It's going to make a concussion in the air. But to be a sound, that concussion has to be interpreted by something that can hear. So, if nothing ever smells Derek Tant's beard, no, it doesn't have a smell. It just has particles that it shucks off into the atmosphere. Typing Piper then asks, if you had to choose between smoking a bag of Elizabethan mixture or having a colonic using hot sauce, which would it be? That's a toss-up because they would have the same effect. Typing Piper, I bought some haunted bookshop the other day. Will it ghost my pipe? Typing Piper, did you find the government mind control chip hidden under your tooth? If I were a dentist, I would like get some little microchip from whatever, take apart a cell phone or a mouse or something, and I would, dip it in some blood, and every time I took a tooth out, I would just be like, holy shit, look what I found. Speaking of, there was this big story in Bloomberg Business this week about microchips that are implanted on server motherboards for lots of important folks that have been implanted there by the manufacturing sector of the Chinese economy that allow a backdoor hardware access. Yeah, okay. Anyway, look it up if you're interested. So we got through all that. Leprous Hand says, does life imitate art? No, I don't think so. I think that life is so much more complex. Well, okay. On the other hand, we always talk about what are the motivations? Does people's motivations can be influenced by art? For example, Mark David Chapman shot Ronald Reagan because of Catcher in the Rye. Right? So if J.D. Salinger had not written Catcher in the Rye, would Mark David Chapman have shot Ronald Reagan? I don't know, maybe. But is that an imitation? I don't know. You guys are asking some serious questions this week. This is it's good stuff. And now Leprous Hand says, I regret asking that question. So he has another question. Have you ever been to a wedding and just felt something isn't right? You've been to hundreds of weddings. Something is wrong with this one. Ever had that feeling? Yes. I had a wedding. I had a wedding this year that I definitely got the feeling that the couple wasn't quite where they should have been in terms of their commitment to each other. Does that make sense? Yeah. Duke City Piper asks, does Dunhill still manufacture Dunhill pipes? I don't think they do, right? It's the white spot. It's not even really Dunhill anymore. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Dunhill no longer makes Dunhill pipes. I'm sure someone will correct that if that's wrong, so read the comments below. Derek Tant asks Gribbs, if there was a version of Dancing with the Stars with the YTPC, who would you like to see compete, and what dance would you like to see them perform? I think Yardism and Mutton Chop Piper. I think I would like to see those two performing. I don't, this might come as a shock, but I don't know a lot about dance. So I would like to see them performing, I think, the tango. I think that's the only one that I really know. So that's I mean, well, the cha-cha, right? But the cha-cha is like, it's like a move. It's not a whole dance, is it? I would definitely want a whole dance. I want the whole Olympic figure skating length performance from Yardism and Mutton Chop Piper. And if one of them couldn't make it, I think Brad at Stuff and Things would be a good alternate. Well, that wraps it up for this week. It's been very difficult to talk without something in my hands. Hopefully by next week I will feel like smoking a pipe again. I think that'll give it 10 days to heal up in there. I've still got the stitches though. I'm going to wait for the stitches to dissolve before anything else happens. I mean, I'm feeling much better. Thank you for your concern. Except when I yawn or poke it. Ow. Yeah, that hurts right there. Hurts. It definitely hurts right there. All right. Well, anyway, I'm feeling much better. Eating solid food, which is just, man. I forgot what 36 hours of a liquid diet will do to you. Not feeling great about that in the middle of the week. It was kind of rough. But other than that, we proceed on. As is our nature. So, thank you for watching. Keep the ends out for the ties that bind. And I didn't get eaten by the NERB. Pretty cool.